This man stole $65 billion. And he didn't need a gun, a mask, or a getaway car to do it. He didn't rob a bank. He was the bank. For decades, he was seen as the Wizard of Wall Street. A man so respected, so powerful, that former heads of state, A-list celebrities, and billionaire CEOs begged him to take their money. He was the chairman of the NASDAQ, a philanthropist, a legend, but it was all a mirage. On the 17th floor of the Lipstick Building in Manhattan, behind a locked door that almost no one was allowed to enter, a computer was printing out billions of dollars in fake profits. Day after day, year after year, he destroyed thousands of lives. He drove his own son to suicide, and he shattered the world's faith in the financial system. How did one man fool the SEC, the FBI, and the smartest investors in the world for over 20 years? And more importantly, if he walked into a room today, would you fall for it too? This is the story of Bernie Madoff. To understand the crime, you first have to understand the man. Because Bernie Madoff didn't look like a villain. He looked like Uncle Bernie. By the 1990s, Madoff was royalty in New York. He wasn't just a money manager, he was a pioneer. In the 1960s, he helped digitize the stock market. His legitimate trading firm, Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, was a powerhouse. It accounted for nearly 10% of all trading volume on the New York Stock Exchange. He was rich. He was charitable. He was the guy you wanted at your dinner party. But his most prized possession was his private investment fund. It was exclusive. You couldn't just sign up. You had to be invited. It was known as the Jewish Bond, a safe, steady place where wealthy Jewish families, charities, and country clubs parked their cash. And the results? They were magic. While the rest of the market went up and down like a roller coaster, Bernie's fund was a straight line up. 10% returns, 12% returns, every single year. It didn't matter if the dot-com bubble burst. It didn't matter if there was a recession. Bernie always made money. Investors loved him. He was consistent. He was safe. But there is an old saying on Wall Street: if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. People whispered it, but nobody wanted to believe it, because as long as the checks cleared, why ask questions? But there was one man who did ask questions, a math genius named Harry Markopolos, and what he found would terrify anyone paying attention. In 1999, nearly a decade before Madoff was caught, Harry Markopolos sat at his desk in Boston staring at a sheet of numbers. A competitor had asked him to reverse engineer Madoff's strategy so they could copy it. Madoff claimed he used something called a split-strike conversion strategy, basically buying blue-chip stocks and protecting them with options. Markopolos ran the numbers. He ran them again and again. He realized something terrifying. The market is volatile. It rains, it pours, the sun shines. But Madoff's returns were a flat line ascending to heaven. Markopolos looked at a graph of the S&P 500 options market. For Madoff to be executing the trades he claimed, he would have needed to buy more options than actually existed in the entire world. Markopolos later said, "It took me 5 minutes to know it was a fraud. It took me another 4 hours to prove it mathematically." He went to the SEC, the police of the stock market. He handed them a detailed report titled, "The World's Largest Hedge Fund is a Fraud." He told them, "There are only two possibilities here. 1, Bernie Madoff is front-running trades, which is illegal. Or 2, it's a Ponzi scheme." So what did the SEC do? They investigated. They asked Bernie some questions. Bernie, calm and charming, gave them complicated answers they didn't understand. He intimidated them. He was the former chairman of NASDAQ. Who were these low-level investigators to question him? The SEC closed the case. They cleared him. And this is the tragedy. Madoff could have been stopped in 1999. He could have been stopped in 2001. But because of his status, he was allowed to keep stealing for another decade. So, if he wasn't trading, what was he actually doing?
Let's pause for a second. How exactly does a Ponzi scheme work? Imagine I ask you for $1,000 to invest in my super business. I promise you I'll turn that into $1,100 next month. You give me the money. Next month, you ask for your profit. But I didn't invest your money. I spent it. So I find a new guy. Let's call him Dave. I ask Dave for $1,000. I take Dave's money and give it to you. You are happy. You think I'm a genius. You tell all your friends. Now, 10 more people give me money. I use their money to pay Dave. As long as new money keeps coming in, the machine works. Everyone feels rich. Bernie Madoff did this on a global scale. He had a legitimate trading floor on the 19th floor of his building. It was loud, busy, and full of traders. This was the front. But down on the 17th floor, in the Lipstick Building, was the secret operation. A handful of uneducated employees sat at old computers, creating fake statements. If a client wanted to see their trade history, Madoff's team would look at yesterday's newspaper, see what stocks went up, and then backdate a fake trade to make it look like they bought it at the perfect time. It was essentially a multi-billion-dollar printing press of lies. And the craziest part? He didn't even charge the standard hedge fund fees. Most funds charge 2 and 20, 2% management fee, 20% of profits. Madoff only charged for trading commissions. He left billions on the table. Why? Because he didn't want the scrutiny. He wanted to look like a humble servant of the people. It was a psychological masterstroke.
It's easy to think of this as a crime against rich people who could afford to lose it. But that isn't the whole story. Madoff destroyed charities. The Elie Wiesel Foundation for Humanity. Elie Wiesel was a Holocaust survivor and Nobel Peace Prize winner. Lost nearly everything. $15.2 million gone. He destroyed pension funds. Teachers, mechanics, nurses, people who never met Bernie Madoff had their retirement savings invested in funds that fed into Madoff. There was the story of a French aristocrat, René-Thierry Magan de la Villehuchet. He had invested $1.4 billion of his clients' money with Madoff. When the scheme collapsed, he couldn't live with the guilt. He locked himself in his office and took his own life. Kevin Bacon and Kyra Sedgwick lost millions. Steven Spielberg's charity was hit. But the most tragic victim might have been closer to home. Bernie's 2 sons, Mark and Andrew, worked 2 floors up in the legitimate trading business. By all accounts, they had no idea. They thought their father was just a brilliant investor. They idolized him. Imagine the betrayal. Discovering that your entire life, your career, your family name was built on a lie. This wasn't just financial theft. It was a theft of trust. It was a theft of reality. The thing about Ponzi schemes is that they are like sharks. If they stop moving, they die. They need fresh meat, new money constantly. For decades, Madoff had plenty of new money. But then came 2008, the global financial crisis. Lehman Brothers collapsed. The market was in freefall. Panic swept the world. Suddenly, everyone wanted their cash. They didn't want to invest. They wanted to withdraw. In December 2008, clients requested $7 billion in redemptions. Madoff looked at his bank account. He only had a few $100 million left. The math finally caught up with him. The game was over. On December 10, 2008, Bernie called his sons, Mark and Andrew, into his office. He looked tired, defeated. He told them he needed to pay out bonuses early, about $170 million before the end of the year. Mark and Andrew were confused. "Dad, the firm is bleeding money. We can't pay bonuses." Bernie insisted. The sons realized something was wrong. They confronted him at his penthouse apartment later that day. Bernie sat them down. He began to cry, and then he said the words that would change history. "It's all just one big lie." He told them the investment fund was a Ponzi scheme. He told them he was finished. He told them he had absolutely nothing left. $50 billion, $65 billion. It was all gone. Mark and Andrew left the apartment. They went straight to a lawyer. And then, they called the FBI. The next morning, December 11, 2008, the FBI knocked on Bernie's door. He opened it in his pajamas. He didn't fight. He didn't deny it. He simply said, "I know why you're here." The news broke like a nuclear bomb. The chairman of NASDAQ was a crook. The scale of the fraud was incomprehensible. The paper losses were $65 billion. The actual cash lost was around $20 billion. It was the largest financial fraud in U.S. history. Bernie pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies. He didn't even stand trial. He wanted to protect his family, specifically his wife, Ruth, from being dragged into court, though the public would never forgive her either. The judge showed no mercy. He sentenced Bernie Madoff to 150 years in prison, the maximum possible sentence. As he was led away in handcuffs, the clapping in the courtroom wasn't applause. It was relief. But the damage didn't stop with his imprisonment. 2 years later, on the second anniversary of his father's arrest, Mark Madoff, unable to bear the shame and the lawsuits, hanged himself in his apartment while his 2-year-old son slept in the next room. Bernie Madoff didn't just steal money. He killed his own son. So how did he do it? And why did so many smart people fall for it? It comes down to 3 psychological triggers that exist in all of us. 1. Affinity fraud. Madoff preyed on his own community. He was Jewish. He frequented the Palm Beach Country Club. People trusted him because he was one of them. We lower our guard when we deal with people who look like us and talk like us. 2. Scarcity. Madoff didn't beg for money. He rejected it. He would tell investors, "I'm not taking new capital right now." This made them beg him to take their millions. He turned investing into an exclusive club. 3. The authority bias. He was the chairman of the NASDAQ. He helped write the rules. Who are you to question the referee? We like to think we are smarter than the victims. We think, I would have checked the numbers. But would you? If your best friend, your bank, and the government all told you a guy was safe, would you really be the one to say no? Bernie Madoff died in prison in 2021. He died alone, hated, and disgraced. His story is a harsh reminder that in the world of finance, trust is a currency. But it is a currency that can be counterfeited. The next Bernie Madoff is probably out there right now. They might be in crypto. They might be in AI tech startups. They might be promising you 10% returns when the rest of the world is bleeding. Remember the lesson of the $65 billion lie. Markets fluctuate. Economies crash. But if someone promises you a line that only goes up, run. Because as Bernie proved, he didn't steal with a gun. He stole with a smile.